Welcome everyone to the webinar. I am super excited for today. My name is Michaela Martinson. I am the Content Marketing Manager here at Get the Referral, and we are the ones bringing you today's webinar. Today, we have the psychology behind referrals, why that's important, and how to make sure you're doing all of the things that you should be doing to get the most out of your referral program now and into 2023. So I'm super excited for what we have for you today. But before we begin, I have a couple of housekeeping items that I want to get to. First of all, make sure you stay till the end. We've got an exciting announcement at the end of this webinar that you will not want to miss. So be sure to stick around for that. For those of you who are wondering, yes, this webinar is being recorded and we will be sharing the replay link after the event is complete. You'll get an email tomorrow with the link so you can rewatch the information that you get today and you can share it with your friends and colleagues as well. Also, questions. If you have questions or comments, we welcome them. So please, if you think of any questions during the webinar, go ahead and put them in the chat box and we will save them to the end during the Q&A session and answer them for you then. Now, this is the part where I usually introduce the presenter, but instead I have a special guest with us today. It is our very own CEO and founder, Jamie Vumbach. He is here today with us. Let me see if I can pop him in here. Wow. Of course. Technology is so much fun. Let's see. All right, there we go. Jamie, where are you? Give me a second, guys. Bear with me. Jamie, if you can hear me, it looks like it's not letting me control your camera. So if you can pop yourself on, for some reason, it's not letting me enable you. Let's see if it'll let you. Ah, there we go. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Michaela. It's the first time we're using this platform, but I love it. So thanks for the quick intro. Yeah, I'm Jamie Vumbach, CEO of Get the Referral. And I'm real excited about today's webinar. And it's something that I've been wanting to do for our customers and our prospective customers for a long time, right? So as you guys know, Get the Referral is a software platform to help with referrals. But what we want to be able to do is go deeper, right? And better understand, what it takes to get more referrals, right? You have technology, which is one side of it, but it's the psychology behind it, right? And I was talking to a good friend of mine here, Bob Carbonella. He and I go back years working together, and we reconnected recently. And he is the president of Sandler Peak Sales Performance. And we're chatting about, some of the things that we've done over the last couple of years, and really interested in the whole Sandler program and what they bring to the table. And started talking about, what can we do together? Like, how can we provide value to our customers? And that's what today is all about, is providing our customers and our prospective customers with value add in the sense of, let's better understand how to get referrals. And then the technology piece comes later. So with that, I would love to introduce Bob Carbonella, once again, president of Sandler Peak Sales Performance. He will be leading the webinar here, and I'm going to have him jump in right now. So Bob, welcome. And once again, thanks, Michaela, and thank you all for showing up today, and I hope you enjoy today's webinar.
Great. I think technology has caught itself back up, so hopefully you're able to all hear me and see me okay. Thank you for the intro, Jamie. And I'm really excited to be able to speak to you guys all today. Jamie and I, as he mentioned, go back a lot of years together in our prior work lives. And as he mentioned, we're going to focus this webinar today on, the power behind the psychology of the referrals, right? We're going to spend some time on that, probably just short of an hour. And what I want you to think about, when we think and we regularly see, what it means to ask for referrals, many of us will continue to be playing by the same rules, using the traditional approaches that you may have learned years ago or developed on your own. And this could be resulting in inconsistent results or not performing to the level that you would like it to perform to. So we're going to spend a lot of time on sharing some different ideas with you today that will hopefully help you have a better response rate from your referrals. Here's the agenda we're going to be going through. I'm going to just cover a very brief background, give you a little bit more info on Sandler. And then, as you see, we're going to spend most of our time on the psychology behind referrals, how to ask referrals in the right way, right? And that's going to be important. So you'll see those are the topics that we're going to be going through. But to start, let me just give you a little bit of background. I know Jamie and Michaela mentioned a little bit about Sandler. For those of you who aren't as familiar with Sandler training, we're really the world's largest training company. There's over 250 locations globally. As you'll see here, there's a number of the worldwide locations that are mentioned here as well. We specialize in sales, customer service, customer care, leadership, management training. One of the stats that we're very proud of is companies that use Sandler and Sandler methodology typically find that 50% more of their people are actually achieving their targets versus those who are not using Sandler. And a few companies that you may be familiar with that are also good clients of ours, LinkedIn is a client of ours, Salesforce, for those of you who use sales automation, and HubSpot as well as a client of ours, a new partner of ours, actually, that we do some joint webinars like this. We've been doing quite a few of them with HubSpot recently as well. Here's my contact information. If anyone needs to get a hold of me after the event, it's here, and Michaela will also flash this back up after as well. But this is the link to our website and our contact info. All right. So I mentioned this earlier. I'm not going to belabor anymore on Sandler. I'm going to make this more about now referrals. Here's just a few of the services that we provide: coaching and consulting, etc. So let's dig into the topic that you really came here to hear more about, the psychology behind referrals. So one thing that I found, there was a book that was written back in the 80s. It's actually a very highly sold, best-selling book, still available on Amazon. And no, I don't get royalties for announcing this, but another fellow Italian, Robert Cialdini, PhD, wrote a book titled Influence. And it's all about the psychology of persuasion. And in that book, he explored factors that affect the decisions that we make, especially as it relates to sales and purchasing decisions. And he identified these 6 core principles that you can see on the screen. The main message that he delivers in the book is that if you understand these 6 principles, then you can use them to your advantage when trying to persuade others to take specific action or to buy a specific product or service. Now, some of the principles that are displayed here and that are mentioned in his book also apply to the psychology behind referrals. And we're going to take a closer look at 3 of them next. The first one is called reciprocity, right? So you'll see the definition there that we use on the screen. You know, humans value equality and balance to some extent. And if it's possible to use this desire for reciprocity to influence the behaviors of others. So as such, if we provide a good service to our customers or clients, they will be more inclined to provide a referral to you in return. Think of as an example, for those of you who use social media, I mentioned LinkedIn earlier. If you leave a recommendation on someone, typically what you'll find in return, they'll typically leave a recommendation back on your LinkedIn profile as well, right? That's that feeling of reciprocity. You do for me, I do for you. The next one that's in his book is social proof, right? Again, by nature, we generally feel it's important to have what decisions we make be part of what I'll say are the social norms. In other words, a lot of concurrence. Think about the last time you maybe had to find a new doctor, right? You got comfortable when you asked some people, and if you needed a specialty, if you needed a service provided, you know, it was helpful that you heard good things about that doctor. I remember going through that myself when I had my hip replaced several years ago. You know, I heard through church, people at church recommended a doctor to me, and I heard good things about it. So socially, there was a lot of good feelings, made me feel good about I'm in good hands because he actually helped others who I knew. Same things happens in the home services industry. Right? If you see a neighbor or a friend installing a new solar system at their house, and you talk to them and they're happy about the results, happy about the experience they had with that company, typically you'll feel happy about maybe doing business with them as well. You'll be comfortable that they've already helped people that I know. And the third one is liking. You know, we have a saying at Sandler, people like people who are like them. People trust people that they like. And people buy from, are influenced by, and are less difficult with people that they trust. So that's something that's part of a lot of our Sandler curriculum. It was very much akin to what was included here in this book as well. So those are the three pieces that directly tie to the book as well. I believe we're going to have a poll here next, as you'll see here. So we encourage you to participate in the poll. What were the three biggest challenges when it comes to asking for referrals? So we'll see some of the answers starting to come in here. So we're starting to see how to ask for referrals. That's typically not a surprise. When do we ask? Not surprised by seeing that. I'll give it a little bit of time for people to weigh in here. How to track, very important. I mentioned earlier, one of the partners we have, one of the clients we have is Salesforce. And a lot of that tracking and use of the CRM tool. Same thing is important with referrals. How are we tracking it? Michaela, did you want to weigh in here as well?
I just wanted to pop in and let you know, everyone keep voting. We have a couple of seconds more that you can weigh in and let us know what your opinions are. This is my favorite part, Bob. I love hearing from the audience. I love hearing their feedback. So give you just a couple more seconds here to let us know what you think. And then I'll let Bob get back to it. And we're going to see the results as well. So this is exciting stuff. We've got 42 people on. So if you're on Facebook or on Slack or something, real quick, hop in. Let us know what you think so we can get your opinion on this poll. All right. I think we're about done here. Let's check out the results with everyone. All right. We got 71% of the audience voted. Thank you for everyone who voted. Some really interesting answers here. It looks like how to ask, when to ask, how to follow up. Those are all pretty important points. And I think that, Bob, you're going to be getting into that right now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very exciting for me to see because we're going to be touching on all three of those. So we're
Excellent.
definitely in sync here.
Fantastic. All right, I'll let you get back to it. Thank you for indulging my excitement about the poll.
So we'll actually spend a little bit of time on each one of those, which is actually very good. But so think about, before I get into the right way to ask for referrals, think about the difference in your own earnings, if you would. If you just got a little better and were able to get one or two more clients through referrals, what is that value of that client worth to you? So when you look back at those poll results, how to ask, when is the right time to ask? If you were able to take from this session today one or two things that can help you land one or two more clients, just think about financially, what is that worth to you? And hopefully that number will be a pretty good number to encourage you to try to take some of the new thoughts that we're giving you today and put them into action. So the first thing I want to talk a little bit about is what we call the value transition, right? So my style is I'm not going to be reading slides to you. I'll let you read the bullet points of the slides. I'm going to just be talking to what the theme of the slide is. So you'll see that throughout as well. But starting the process for referrals can begin with what we call the value transition. Earlier, we talked about the law of reciprocity. If you do something for someone, there's typically an implied obligation that they'll want to do something in kind for you in return. So you want to look for opportunities called the value transition, meaning when somebody says, oh my gosh, Michaela, that was just so darn helpful what you did. That's a value transition. If you know you've provided value and people haven't proactively volunteered that, oh my gosh, that was so helpful. You can have a chance and say, let me ask you, Michaela or Chris, whoever you're talking to, was this helpful? Oh my gosh, yeah, it was tremendous. Well, thank you so much for sharing that with me. That's kind of your good hook to begin this process. When someone has offered back to you unsolicited feedback that they're enjoying the experience working with you or your company, that's a good hook to begin to think through an ideal time to approach the conversation. And you don't have to think that it's going to be taking 6 months, a year, 2 years, or until all the results that you've provided to them are delivered. In many cases, just by leading them through the initial phase of your solution or the product or service that you're selling, and they're able to start to see the value from it, oftentimes that's a good enough place to start, or kind of getting to that when is it appropriate to ask for referrals. So first, look for a value transition. Look for areas that you've served and overserved for your clients, and find ways to create and understand the value transition, which can then begin with what we call a pattern interrupt. So instead of saying, oh, by the way, do you know anybody that we might be able to use or that we might be able to be referred to? Learn to use a pattern interrupt. So something like this. Bob, if you've got an extra minute or two, I'd like to ask you something that's important. Do you have an extra minute or two? Think about that. If you've got an extra minute or two and you ask them for concurrence, they're saying, yeah, fine, I'll work, whatever I can do to help you. Let's talk. I have a few minutes here. Sure. Words like that are important. Words like, oh, by the way, if you have an extra minute or two. Words that we can commit them to a time. I'm going to be looking for a little small conversation with you. I'm just trying to set it up, and it's going to only take a minute or two, and it's important to me. So they'll take that and understand that this is something that's important to someone who's providing a good quality service here at my house. So learning to get that time commitment from them is important. That's all part of this value transition that we're talking about. Okay. I haven't even told them what it's for yet. I've just said, do you have a free minute or two? And if now is not the right time, we can set up when would the right time be to spend 5 minutes with me on something. Okay. So that's important as you set that up. Next thing we talk a lot about at Sandler is using an upfront contract. And as we walk through this, we're trying to take the pressure off the referral conversation. You know, we've got this great relationship now that we've formed. We've done some good work for this client, for this customer. We know we don't want to impose. So we want to use this technique called an upfront contract. And really what it's doing is that you're having an agreement about the conversation that we're going to have. So it'll sound something like this. You know, Chris, I've been thinking, I know we've had a great relationship for a long period of time, and I really appreciate a lot of the work you've done for me and that I've done for you. And if you're open to it, I'd like to take a few minutes to brainstorm something with you. People who are in your circle, who are in your network, maybe even talk to them about creating a short list of the kind of people that he thinks could be a good fit for the work that I'm doing for you. Are you open to having that discussion with me? Hopefully they'll say yes. Key words and things that we encourage that you say, words like brainstorm, or would it make sense for us to do this and spend a couple minutes on this? Those are nice phrases. Think again about creating a short list of people in your circle, in your network, right? A lot of people have their own circles. They might belong to a club, might be church, right? Might be a social network, might be involved with other parents that are involved, maybe as soccer parents, you know, people who are more similar to them from a demographic standpoint that would be a good fit for the product or service that you're working with them on. So we want to get them thinking in that capacity, right? And to do that, so there's not a lot of pressure on the conversation, we just set it up with a casual upfront contract so they know what it is that we're going to be looking to talk about. Right? So that's important as far as building the rapport with them, continuing that good relationship. We're not trying to take advantage of that relationship. We're just looking to make sure that we have adequate time scheduled, and we're looking for specific, and you'll see here in a minute, specific, or what we call the ideal referral. What do I mean by that? Think about what you had, if somebody said, what are you having for dinner next Thursday? Many of you, if you're like me, would probably be struggling to answer that, right? So who do you know that I can talk to would be a different, so you don't want to just jump into a conversation without setting it up. If I just come out of the blue and say, who do you know that I can talk to? It's going to be the same response you're going to get if I said, what are you having for dinner next Thursday or next Tuesday? It's not ready to be introduced. We're not ready to ask for the referral yet. And I know in the poll, that was, again, something else that came up quite a bit from most of you. You know, when is the right time and how do I go about asking for the referral? Right? So very important, as it says on the slide here, we want to look for what we call observable characteristics, right? We want to help our client or our advocate by painting a picture of what is our ideal customer looking like, right? So if you think about it, when you're talking to someone who you want to hopefully get some referrals from, would it be helpful if I painted a picture for you of the 3 or 4 types of people or businesses, if you're in the business environment, who we typically would be a good fit for? Would that be helpful? Typically, their response is going to be yes. Well, then you and I can brainstorm on this. If anyone comes to mind that fits this criteria, why don't we just jot that name down? It doesn't mean that it's going to make sense for you to introduce them to me yet, by the way. We can decide that later. Let's just jot down some names that you feel make sense that fit these characteristics. So you go through and you paint that picture for them. Let's say, as an example, you're in the financial broker business and you think about, what is my ideal client's? Obviously, it's someone who's got to be making money. So it's probably someone who works. Could be someone who's retired that doesn't have a 401k plan that is looking to make some investments. It could be someone who has a second home. Why is that important? If they can afford a second home, usually that means that they have a certain level of wealth, right? Do they own a boat? What kind of car do they drive? What kind of home do they live in? Do they have kids in college? If they have kids in college, might help, or maybe kids that will eventually be in college, it might be help to set up some funds, right, for them to draw on when the kids go to school. Did they recently begin a new job? So these are all observable characteristics that can help you paint the picture to define what is an ideal customer for me. Because if I'm going to ask them to spend some time with me on helping refer some folks to me, wouldn't it make sense that they were referring the ones that were a better fit for you? We believe so. So if we take the time up front and work with our advocates, our clients, it'll hopefully pay dividends more in the end. So first homework assignment for you. And no, we're not going to be checking up that you did this, but I'll encourage you to do this. Take the time to think about, what are the observable characteristics for your clients? Who's your ideal client? If the phone rang and you answered it and it was a potential new customer, what would be the best opportunity that can fall in your lap? So come up with 3 or 4 characteristics or traits that best define who your best client could be, and jot those down, right? So that's the first thing that we want to do. We want to be defining and helping paint that picture for the person that we're asking to get some referrals from. As it says here, and you'll see this throughout, be patient. Don't rush the process. We're going for quality here. You've heard of quantity over quality or quality over quantity. I'm trying to help you get more qualified referrals. Referrals that will have a higher chance to do business with you. So we'll have a better place and a better way of doing that if we're helping the person, the advocate that might be making the referrals for us, better understand what's our ideal client look like, right? So we have these identifiable, we've helped them paint the pictures, right? We've done that. Now it's all about how we're going to be talking about this, right? What is it that we want our advocate to be thinking about when they're making these referrals for us, right? So again, go back to so in my case, I'll give you a couple examples, right? We work with business owners who are looking to work to helpfully grow top line revenue, right? So when we look to get referred into businesses, a lot of times we'll describe, typical business owner of a certain probably size revenue base. It's typically a certain number of employees that might fall into that category, are typically ideal clients for us to work with. So what we suggest you do is, especially if you're working in an environment where you have peers that you're working at, is practice walking through this process and practice having these conversations with people, right? So you're getting a better understanding of what their observable characteristics are, right? And it'll help you if you practice this, get your pacing down, don't rush it, right? Because we don't want to be overbearing. We want to come across as being very sincere throughout this process. We also want to be qualifying the referral. What do we mean by qualifying the referral? Does it check all the boxes? Right? So we've been out there, we've got some referrals, or what we also call introductions. The next thing now is we want to qualify it. So you've given me names like Jane Smith, Bob Jones, Ed Williams. And before I call them or discuss anything with them, ask your advocate, ask your referrer, why did you suggest Bob Jones, or why did you suggest Jane Smith? So they've given us some names now. What's the reasoning behind it? Well, I thought Jane Smith would be a good one for you because she runs a company of a certain size, or it's a neighbor of mine who I know has interest in doing a lot of the construction that we're doing here. We talked that they want to do some work on their house, so we thought they'd be a good client potential for you. So you want to dig a little deeper as to why did those names get onto the list, right? And then talk about how is it best to get in touch with them. So when you interact with Jane Smith, if she's one of the people on that list, how do you interact with her? Do you send emails? Do you talk on the phone? Do you text? What do you think would be the best way to communicate with them? Some people don't respond very well to emails, right? And they may say, you know what, when I try to connect with Jane, she's not overly responsive with emails because she's got a lot going on. She runs a good business and she has a family, so she's a working mom and she's all over the place, bringing the kids everywhere, so doesn't always respond directly to emails. So that might be something that you remember. Email might not be the best way to try getting in touch with Jane, right? Then you also talk about, would they be willing to help make the introduction? They're familiar with and they know Jane. Jane doesn't know you. So yeah, part of it could be, I was referred by Jane, or Jane thought that it would make sense for me to contact you and discuss a little bit about what we're doing with her company. Or if you feel comfortable with your advocate and they're willing to do this, it's even more powerful if they make that initial call. Say, hey, I'm doing some work with Jamie. I thought of you and your company and the discussions that we've had. And I really think he can really help your company out a great deal. I would suggest that we have you give him a call. Would that make sense to you? So she or he is doing some of that legwork for you as well. That's another powerful way of moving forward and doing that, having them help make the introduction. Same thing works, by the way, in LinkedIn or social media, right? You don't just jump in and maybe look to connect with somebody. If you see other people that you have as joint connections, you might reach out to those folks first and ask if they'd be willing to connect you. So same thing applies there as applies to the referral process. Another thing that's very important that we're mindful of is we have to reward our advocates, the people who are willing to go that extra mile for us, and really show that we're appreciative of them doing this, right? So one way we can do that is be an advocate for them. We talked about reciprocity earlier. If they're willing to help you and do referrals for you, we should be doing the same for them, right? Start thinking about who your top advocates are and what are things that can help enhance and continue that relationship. These could be clients that you no longer do business with. You might have already done the construction at their house, but what are ways you can stay in touch with them? And this would be a great way to do it, by continuing to get referrals from them and doing some rewards back to them as well. I know our partners at GTR have a lot of ideas around this using their app, and in a few moments, Jamie will be back up with us and talk a little bit more about this. But very powerful to reward the people that are willing to give referrals for us. Very powerful tool. So a couple of other additional ways to increase your referrals. Think about if you're in the home services marketplace, builders, remodelers, etc. Most of us, right? If you have sales teams, they have to be prospecting. It's the task that people in sales know they need to do, and oftentimes they typically dread it the most. Why? Because when they're prospecting, they're going to hear the word no more often than they hear the word yes. And human nature is you don't want to hear a lot of no's, right? But one way that we can make prospecting less painful is the more and more we rely on referrals. Referrals from people who are already satisfied with us and have experience with us, hopefully positive experience from us. Keep in mind that 20% of the people who you do work for will never give you a referral. It's just not in their nature. They're not comfortable doing that. And 20% of the people that you work with or have as clients will be glad to recommend you. They're what we call people pleasers. They're happy to recommend you. They get enjoyment out of it. It's that other 60% that are willing to refer you, but they just don't know how. So here's some additional ways that we can go at that other 60%. Right? So most of us think, if I'm doing a remodel at a house, let's say, they'll be hesitant to ask for a referral until the project is totally complete. That's not always the case, right? You can at times ask for a referral as soon as when the client green lights the project, right? Obviously, they made a decision to do business with you. What made them comfortable in doing that? And do they know of anyone else, especially while we're going to be working in the area? Do they know of anyone else that was thinking about taking on a project similar to this? And would they be comfortable introducing me to that person, to that friend or family member, etc. Oop, I don't know what I did here. I hit the screen too soon. Next example. Every touch point, every point of contact that you have with your clients is an opportunity for a referral. Mention referrals on your business cards, on your email stationery, on your invoices, on your websites. If you do quarterly newsletters, if you're doing a touch point using a thank you card, if you're sending a note on a job well done, establish the idea that referrals are an important part of your industry and are very much appreciated by your company. Okay? So be diligent with that. Look for all your touch points and make sure that referrals are mentioned as part of it. I mentioned earlier a few examples about doing work at homes. If you're starting a construction project in a neighborhood and you're going to be there for a couple weeks, if you're doing some construction work, right, you might be making some noise. So it's a good opportunity here to generate some goodwill with the neighbors. Stop by, introduce yourself. If you have a business card, give them the card. Tell them you're going to see me or any of my guys, and you might see a couple of our trucks. We're doing a major project down the street at the Johnson's home. So I'll just apologize in advance. You may hear some noise. You may see some delivery trucks coming down to drop off some of the product we're going to be using. Apologize in advance for any inconvenience. And if you have any concerns along the way, I want you to feel comfortable reaching out. I run the company. Here's my name. What are we also doing? We're planting a seed. We're letting them know while we're educating them that we're doing work at the Johnson's house, that we're in the neighborhood. We specialize in doing this work without even coming out and saying that. We're making them aware. They'll see the trucks that are coming out. By developing the goodwill with the neighbors, you're setting yourself up for new business opportunities, right? They're in the neighborhood. They're probably in the same demographic. They probably can afford similar things that their neighbors can, right? So make sure you make that extra step to introduce yourself as best you can, at least to the houses that are around the area where you're working. And with the concurrence of your customer, your client, host an open house once the job is finished. Let them see the great new addition that's up. Right? Have a little housewarming or a reopening of the house so they can really be proud of what they have now that they're there. They enhance the house. If it makes sense, if the neighborhood allows for it, maybe host a small party there where, again, you're displaying your quality work that's done and people can see it firsthand. And even if they're not ready to make some adjustments or changes at their house, maybe they'll know somebody else who is. Another great time and place to ask for a referral. So the fifth area is the power of technology. And this is where I'm very pleased to have my partner, Jamie, come back up here, CEO of GTR. And he'll talk more about the app that they have and really the power behind it to streamline the whole referral process. Very key part of the process. So, Jamie, why don't you come back up? Come back into the webinar and I'll stop talking for a few minutes and let you take the baton.
I want to hear you keep talking. I mean, some of that stuff is just, if you guys are Seinfeld fans, it's gold, Jerry. It's gold, So I don't know if you remember that one, Bob. That was from Seinfeld. Anyway,
call me Newman. I was afraid you were going to call me Newman.
Well, we do go way back. So I've got some good names. I'll keep them out of today's discussion. But no, I mean, the information that you shared today, Bob, I mean, it's simple stuff, but not everybody thinks about it, right? And so what I recommend to all of our customers out there, all of our prospects out there, go back, share this webinar with your team. But before you do that, itemize steps that you're going to take from here and that you're going to implement. One of the things that we've seen that really our most successful customers with Get the Referral, and we work with over 600 home service businesses across the country. And what we see is they make this as part of the process, right? You know, if you look at how many people Bob mentioned before are willing to make a referral, the stat shows that only 11% of salespeople ever ask, right? So, I mean, there's such a tremendous opportunity if, as a business owner, you make this part of your process. You know, there's certain things that a sales rep needs to do in order to get paid commission. Well, they need to ask for a referral. They need to go through this process. Every single opportunity that you talk to, whether they buy your product or not, can become an advocate of your company. Okay. And then that's where, you know, GTR really comes into play. And what we do at Get the Referral, and most of you are customers, existing customers with us, so you know a lot of this already. But what we do is we provide you, the home service business industry, with the opportunity to connect and engage with your customers from that point of sale right on through the, you know, eventual completion of the job and beyond, right? And one of the questions that came up is, how do you follow up? Use technology to follow up. With our product, you can have every one of your customers or prospects actually download a branded app that is connected back to you as a company, right? And through the application, you're going to be able to communicate and engage with them through push notifications, in-app messaging. All of their documents can be uploaded there. You can have a write a review, so we can track right on through writing a review for the customer. We have job status updates, so it allows you to connect with your CRM. It notifies the customer all along the way of what's happening with their project. And then in the final stage, it asks for a review. We have a 5-star rating review platform portal now. And so it makes that connection for you and your customers. So following up is made easy when you start using technology. And then ultimately what we're trying to do is be able to provide you and your customers with a great customer experience, right? So whether you're asking for a referral, when they green light the project, in the middle of the project or after the project, or even 3 months down the road, you have technology for you're able to track and you're able to follow up. A simple happy holidays push notification goes a long way. It reminds them of you, and they stay top of mind with you and your company. You can do holiday incentives. Hey, we're going to reward you double for all referrals. Most of our, customers, they reward customers anywhere from, $250 to $2,000 greater for a really good, solid referral that they sold. And so what we're able to do, we're able to track that in your CRM. We track it in our system. You know exactly how much is owed based upon that referral and the status of that referral. And then guess what? We make it super easy to reward your customers. We do it through electronic technology, right? Each of you will have your own account. You'll be able to upload money to your account through GTR and then hit a button that says pay now. And that money goes directly to that individual, that advocate, that customer, that real estate agent that you're engaging with, the other business partner that you're working with, anybody that actually can send you a referral. You send them the rewards right there in the app. They get a notification. They pop your branded app open again. And once again, just like Venmo, they go in there, and then from there, they can download money to their bank. We have gift cards. So we make rewarding real easy, right? So the whole key here is you take all of that stuff that Bob talked about here earlier, you implement it and make it part of your process. You add in a layer of technology to help you track, manage, and reward folks. And you're going to see tremendous, tremendous improvement in your referral business. You're going to get a lower cost lead that is going to close at a much higher rate. And I will tell you what we found is that a lot of times those customers that are referred are less price sensitive. So you're actually going to get a higher ticket item by using, more referrals. And, a personal experience of mine, I had my own solar company for 10 years. We went from about 25% of our business being referrals to close to 70% of our business was coming directly from referrals using our own technology. So I know it works, and it's a powerful tool. So if you want more information about Get the Referral, if you're a prospective customer, go to our website, getthereferral.com, and you can go ahead and book a demo. We'll kind of go through exactly how it works. And for those of you that are using our product currently, if you haven't heard about our new review portal, hit us up and we'll be glad to kind of go through and show you what that looks like. So with that, I think we're going to bring Bob. I want to thank you again. This has been awesome. Do you have anything, any last comments?
No, I was just, as I was listening to what you were saying as well, Jamie, the majority of clients that we train, those who do referrals are light years ahead from a results standpoint. And you see the senior people that work for the company are successful largely because they're very comfortable asking for referrals. And as Jamie mentioned, many salespeople, especially those early on in their career, they're just not comfortable doing it. You have to become comfortable in doing it. There's no harm in doing it. Mm-hmm. Hopefully you got a couple techniques here that will make it easier of how do I ask. But spend a few minutes and really craft, what does your ideal client look like? Like I always would say to my sales team, if the phone were to ring, who would you want to be on the other end of that phone? Mm-hmm. And exactly. However you're answering that's how you want it. That's who you want to hopefully go after for referrals. But I do want to thank you for including me in this session as well. My contact info is on the screen. And Michaela was also very nice to put a link up top, which would bring you right to our website. And my website is also in the bottom there. So if there's anything else we can do or help you with, be more than happy to talk to you, obviously after the session. But Jamie, Michaela, thank you for including me and having me be part of your session here today. It was a pleasure.
Thanks, Bob. Amazing. Amazing. So before we finish, I know we're a little bit over. We did have a couple of quick questions. So I want to pop those on. Jamie, you can field any of these, or Bob, whichever one. But we did have a couple of quick questions. So let me go over here to Q&A mode. And one of the questions is from Shane. How to reward, what's Google legal? I know we do a lot of rewards with referrals, and I think that might be alluding to different types of referrals in different industries. But what do you think?
Yeah, I'll answer that. I'm not legal counsel here, so I always recommend that you check with your legal counsel. There are certain industries where paying for a referral is considered a no-no, and you certainly want to make sure that it is not against, the law in some cases, but very few. There's a lot, especially home services. There's, just about every industry within the home services, you're able to pay, and it's a legal transaction. The nice thing about the way that we do it, if you are using our platform and you're using our payment gateway, as I mentioned earlier, typically you will have to get a 1099 after you pay somebody more than $600. And so with our platform, using a electronic payment processing deal, you'll actually be able to not have to worry about the 1099. Our payment partner actually takes care of that for you. And it's called a 1099K. But certainly check with your legal experts on what industries are legal and which are not.
Fantastic. Thank you, Jamie. All right. And one last question, how to follow up? I could be how to follow up with your referrals or advocates. So I don't know. What do you think?
Well,
once again, go ahead, Bob.
I was going to comment there. Don't forget those touch point opportunities, right? Let's say you did work at, like I mentioned earlier, at the Johnson House, and the work is now complete. Jamie was alluding to, and I was. Think about those touch points that you'll have. If there's a end of year holiday message or card of appreciation that you can send them. Think of your opportunities of what your potential touch points can be with your clients, and make sure that referrals are part of the message there is one way to do that. But you don't have to wait for, like I said, you don't have to wait for the project to be finished. It could be what the sign of the order. You know, hey, I appreciate you having confidence in me and be willing to move forward. You know, anyone else that you think is in this same time frame that you think might be able to be benefited from the services? That's a thought. You had something else you were thinking, Jamie?
Yeah, no, I mean, once again, following up is key. And a lot of the things within our platform, you're able to be able to go through this, and it's all automated. So automation is really important, but also manual push notifications. 97% of all push notifications are read. So having a tool that allows you to send push notifications is really important. And it's that light touch, right? It's not like hitting them up every week, but it's this light, top of mind awareness that you want to be able to do. So, whoops. I gotta mute myself for a second.
Busy man.
No, he's right though. You look for those touch opportunities. It doesn't have to be anything more than holiday message. Have a great new year, have a great start of the year. Look for those quarterly opportunities to stay in touch.
Fantastic. Well, thank you. We are over time, and so we might not be able to answer all the questions, but rest assured, I have taken note of all of them, and we will do our best to answer the questions privately to anyone who posed any other questions for us. I do want to get to what I promised everyone before we finish up today. We appreciate you guys spending time with us today and going over. And as we promised, we've got an exciting announcement. It went out in our newsletter, but I wanted to make sure I drew your attention to this. One of the features that current GTR customers enjoy is that our platform has the ability to email the advocates of our customers from the online GTR dashboard. Now we have added scheduling functionality to this feature. So now you will be able to schedule the emails you want to send to your company's advocates ahead of time. This will allow you to plan your communications in advance, schedule promotions in advance, and any of those touch points that Bob and Jamie just talked about, you can make the most of those with your advocate base by scheduling some things in advance via email. How's that for power? So if you'd like more information about how that works, please take a look at the website knowledge base for those of you that are existing customers. If you have questions, please feel free to reach out to your customer success manager. They are all excited about this feature and will be thrilled to hear from you. And if you are not a GTR customer, please go to our website, www.getthereferral.com. The link is in the chat box as well, and book a demo because we'd be happy to show you how everything works and more. So,
Michaela, can I do one more little nice thing there? I'll tell you what, I really appreciate you being on here, and we definitely will get to all those questions that popped up here at the end. But for anyone that mentions the webinar, that they were on the webinar, heard about the webinar, watched the webinar, and for our existing customers, any upgrades that you want to do with our platform, we're going to offer you a 15% discount through the end of the month. And any new prospects that are on the call that purchase our product, mention the webinar, will also get a 15% discount on any one of our existing plans that we're offering. So little extra incentive there.
Love it. Love it. All right, guys, you got your marching orders. Go book a demo at getthereferral.com. We appreciate you so much, Bob, for everything that you shared today. Such tremendous, valuable information. I hope that everybody watches the replay and takes notes and makes the plan that you guys suggested. Fantastic, fantastic stuff.
Thank you.
All right.
My pleasure.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great day. A great holiday. Thank you.